Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Wow. Thanks to you, my new book launched as an Amazon bestseller. Let's keep the momentum going. Cultivate Positive Culture, 10 Actions to Faithful Living is now available for purchase. As a listener to the Charge Podcast, I would love for you to get a copy of the book. You can go where you purchase books, or better yet, go to my site and order the book directly from us. And I will give you free shipping and handling since you are helping us with sharing our message to others. Just go to cultivatepositiveculture.com to get your copy today. Thanks for supporting the Charge Podcast by purchasing the book directly from us. Remember, all the details about ordering is at chargepodcast.com, where Chris does a great job of sharing all the notes about the upcoming podcast. Check them out. At the end of this podcast, I will share a brief excerpt from the book. Are you frustrated and stressed out with your professional and personal life? The Charge Podcast will help you get recharged. We are in the last 2 months of 2020. Our guest list in November, we found some interesting people who will share their journey to finding charge each day in business and life. Make sure to listen each week and see how you can apply the lessons they share with the Chargers in your own life. The goal of the Charge Podcast is to help you realize what is most important to your life. Chargers are committed to finding how each day they can make their life better by the willingness to learn, grow, and become the person they were meant to be. I think this quote I coined in my new book, Cultivate Positive Culture. Your purpose defines you, guides you, and allows you to become the person God created you to be. You made a great choice in listening to this podcast. Remember, the podcast is named Charge after my mantra, create habits around real goals every day. Let's get recharged in this podcast to influence a positive culture in your life each day. Chargers, we're glad you're back again this week for another great guest. And I'm telling you, I've got you a guest that probably I've not had anyone as young as Jarrett. So don't be fooled by his age, because Jarrett Curry is 18 years old and is already the CEO of Scope Marketing, where he oversees a team of completely remote digital marketing geniuses. They are helping new companies double their ROAs within weeks. And then at 16, Jarrett read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and it changed his life. Now Jarrett is changing the face of eComm marketing. Jarrett, it is great to have you on the Charge Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to get to speak with you as well, Gary. I'm really excited to also, drop some valuable information to some of the viewers out there who are listening right now.
Well, I am so excited to have you on because I started at a very young age on my entrepreneur journey and now over 30 years. So I'm considered what they're called old, Jarrett, but I love seeing young entrepreneurs really grow and develop. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But before I do, I ask every question. And even at 18, you've created some habits around real goals every day. Charge, that's the name of the podcast. What habit or habits do you think has led to success in your life?
That's an amazing question, Gary, and I can't wait to really share my thoughts on this with some of the people who are listening right now. And if you're listening, you've probably listened to so many different things about business development and growth and things like that, right? So, from a really young age, I always knew that it wasn't just one thing that would really help me out. It was a multiplier of things that would really allow me to succeed, right? So it's not just one habit for me. It's the whole premise and the main focus is honestly persistence and making sure that you're being consistent. So by meditating every day, by reading every day, by having a set schedule, by taking cold showers, by going to the gym, and by remaining consistent, allowed me to truly succeed. That consistency is what really helped me. And that's the habit that I care about, is how can I continue to be consistent with the other habits that I'm constantly doing every day or trying to do.
That is very good, because really that's the challenge, because there's lots of shining objects out there, but if we're not consistent, we're not able to improve and continue to get better. And I love the positive culture aspect, because I think it's for people not only in business, but in their life. And I think it'd be really interesting, Jared, if you share, we talked about just a little bit in the bio about what you're doing now, but what led you to this journey and kind of your story of now you're already a CEO of Scope Marketing, and how that process went for you, and sharing that story. And then we'll get into some of the marketing aspect too that I'm excited to share with our audience.
So Gary, it is a funny story because it was not supposed to happen. In my opinion, it was definitely, I got lucky. I have to say. So at the age of 16, the summer before, I believe it was August, July, I had finished reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And it's going back to school, and this story, it gets everyone. But going back to school, I was a junior in high school, and one of my friends, a good buddy of mine, he just finished watching one of those webinars. You've always seen those YouTube ads of people saying, I can make you into a millionaire by the age of blah, 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 and stuff like that, and buy my course, stuff like that. And one of my buddies got one of those ads, and we were both 16 at the time, and he watched the webinar, and he made me watch it. And I am so blessed that I did. I'm so grateful, because I wasn't going to, but I watched it and I said, hey, this is what's going to allow me to accomplish all those dreams I had. All the times I used to write down on paper, I was going to be a multimillionaire by the time I'm 25, a millionaire by the time I'm 21, and accomplish all these great things. I had wrote all that stuff down, and I knew that digital marketing, starting my own agency, would allow me to do that. Once I watched that webinar, it was a $700 program. And I didn't have the money. I was 16 at the time. I didn't have the money to really buy the program, so I had to borrow from my dad. I learned from a young age, use other people's money, right? So OPM, I had to borrow from my dad, and I bought the course. And since then, we've just been scaling the agency, and it's been an exciting and incredible journey. And I'm just honored to have the opportunity to do it.
Well, Jared, the one thing I want to really stress, though, is you took the opportunity. That becomes the key, because like you said, you could have not watched the webinar and nothing would have happened, but you took the opportunity that was there. And I think it becomes a reflection point or an inflection point of your life that you're going to look back on in 10, 20, 30 years from now. That was really that difference that you're going to be able to share with others and inspire other entrepreneurs. And that's why I was so excited about getting you on the podcast, is because like I told you, I've been in business for over 30 years being an entrepreneur, but we need more entrepreneurs out there every day. So as we look at that, and now that you're in digital marketing and with your agency, what fresh approach are you bringing to the table, and what makes your agency different?
Of course, and I get that question all the time, Gary. And I have to be honest with you, we created something unbelievable, and it's the Blackhawk system. It's the system that myself and my team came up with. And it's really been allowing us to scale our clients and really generate them a positive ROI on their investment. Because guess what? A lot of agencies out there, they do a good job. They get you clicks, they get you likes, but that's not important. How much revenue is it bringing in? I'm focused on data-driven marketing that's going to increase sales. I don't care about impressions and followers and likes. So by enabling our clients to have a platform, all these different social media platforms, and giving them our Blackhawk system and implementing it for their business, it's been allowing us to really skyrocket their sales to a whole new dimension, because we're focused on things that other agencies just aren't focused on, such as ROI, sales, and actually getting conversions.
Yeah, and that becomes the key, because if you're investing in it, you want to be able to, how is your investment paying off? Now, one of the things is, let's step back just a little bit, because there's still some people that they're confused about how they can really get their return on investment in really marketing to social media. So with the Blackhawk, I know that's your system that you have there. What is one of the things you think people need to know in the eComm businesses need to know to be able to succeed in their business?
Number one, if you don't track your stats, if you don't track sales coming in. You will always make emotional decisions rather than logical decisions. For example, we track our sleep. People are tracking their sleep now. I have an Oura ring, by the way. It tracks my sleep every night. I'm tracking my sleep. I'm tracking what I eat. I track my workouts. But a lot of people are not tracking their marketing. And I see it every day. And because we guarantee results at Scope, we don't accept everyone that applies to work with us. But the reason why we don't do that is because if they haven't tracked their numbers in the past, we don't have a proven track record. We don't know if we implement our Black Hawk program, we're not going to know if it's going to be successful. So one of the beautiful things about Facebook is that they give us the ability to track everything, as well as Google, as well as TikTok. They give us something called a pixel or a tag, and that pixel data is going to allow us to track who goes on your website. What do they do on your website? Did they make a purchase? How much did they pay for a certain item? Where did they come from? So if you're spending $1 on marketing, you should know that that dollar is going to get you $2, $3, $4 back. So by enabling our clients and making sure that everything is set up on the back end to track all this data, we're really able to scale our clients. Because look, Gary, if for all the listeners out there, if you guys have $1 and you put that into ads and you know that it's going to get you $2, $3 back, you're going to put a lot more money into that, and you're going to be able to scale a lot faster, and you're going to be able to determine where you're going to be in the next 3 months. Because guess what? Just like Gary said earlier on, I took the opportunity. You're going to have the opportunity to control your own life. Everyone has that opportunity, and by tracking your numbers, you're able to do that. So that's just one fundamental aspect of the entire Black Hawk system. For everyone out there listening, definitely start tracking your numbers.
Well, and I think that's huge because in small business, I deal with a lot of small business owners, and that's one of their greatest challenges is they're not tracking. And of course, when they're not tracking, they don't know what's happening. And then it feels like they're just really putting money to advertising and hoping. And hope is not a good strategy in that case of just throwing money out there and saying, I'm hoping something's going to happen with it.
100%. And you don't have to just do it for e-commerce. You guys can, if you own a local business, you can do it for that as well. I promise you, Facebook and other marketing platforms work. They work. They just do. And we use things such as Simple KPI. It's a great little tool for everyone out there listening. If you own a business, use something like Simple KPI. My executive assistant goes into our Slack channel every day, and my entire team, my sales team, my account managers, our marketing team, they are putting in their numbers, and we're tracking how many demos did we have, how many client opportunities did we have, how many client campaigns are in the green, which is good, how many client campaigns are in the red. So we're tracking everything, and we know what we need to focus on because I have a nice view of everything in our Simple KPI dashboard that's allowing us for me to see the business from every aspect. So for everyone out there listening, please make sure you're tracking stuff.
Yeah. I think that becomes that. It helps with the accountability. You know what's going on in your business at any time to be able to take a quick look at it. Let's talk a little bit about, the challenge with social media. Some people, why they never get started is because they don't know where to start. So, there's secrets out there of Facebook that people aren't leveraging, things that you're seeing in your industry that you're doing. What are some of those things that you would share with our audience that would really help people kind of really leverage Facebook and other social media platforms?
Yeah. So for everyone out there listening, there's 3 simple things that you can really start incorporating right now. Number 1, of course, is like I said, make sure that you have the Facebook pixel on your site. Now, if you don't know what the pixel is, go on YouTube and look up how to install a Facebook pixel on your website. That's number 1. That's going to allow you to start tracking data, because I don't know if you're listening to this right now, if you've been on a website and you don't purchase from that site, and if it's a bigger brand most of the time, you're going to start seeing ads pop up, right? So that pixel is what's allowing these companies to do that, because they know who didn't purchase, and they're seeing those people ads. It's something that we call retargeting or remarketing, right? So that's the number 1 thing that you're going to want to start implementing, and you can put $1 a day on a retargeting campaign, and it will perform because you have the data. And Facebook isn't going to charge you that much for a warmer audience, right? Number 2, if you're listening, I want you guys to start generating user-generated content and start asking your customers for pictures, for testimonial videos. That's huge. And start posting those testimonial videos on your website, on your social media. If you own a restaurant, have people, do testimonial videos for a new dish that you guys have, and just put it all over the internet. And for people that visit your website, but they maybe don't book a time to come into your restaurant or whatever business you're in, they don't do what you want them to do, you can send them those testimonial videos in an ad format, and it's just going to keep you top of mind, right? Number 3, the next best thing to do for your business is reviews. Now, it could be via Google reviews, it could be via Facebook reviews, and that's just going to help the algorithm out in terms of getting better results down the line when it comes to your ad campaigns and other social media things. And I can go on and on about this, Gary, but it's also about optimizing your bio. And this is just a little bonus that I want to throw in there for you. Optimize your bio. Look at some of the biggest influencers like Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, and look at their Instagram and Facebook bios and look how they've structured everything. There's a clear call to action and there's a clear direction for the future of their social media, because they know what they want their followers to do. They want them to click on their links. They want them to take action. Social media isn't about likes and comments. It's about getting your customers to take action and to keep you top of mind.
I love that about taking action, versus just likes and comments, because so many people, they think that's what it is. But in business, you've got to look at it differently. It's about getting results and getting that return and getting people to take action. Just like we're kind of talking about today is, what do you want to take action for chargers that's listening to this podcast? What do you want to change? Some of them may want to get in business, so you're inspiring them there, Jared. Others, maybe they're wanting to improve their business, and we're getting them some truly actionable strategies that they can use that you just shared in those 3 steps of using Facebook pixels, user-generated content, and then reviews, getting those reviews and sharing that with your audiences. That allows you to take action. I think one of the things that happens with agencies, and that I've seen in the past, and you are a young agency, so I'm sure you're on the cutting edge of things. What results do you think a marketing agency really should be getting for their clients? What should they be keyed in on in that area? So if I'm that business owner, what are some of the things that I should be looking for if I hire a marketing agency?
Amazing question, Gary. And for all you chargers out there, if you guys are thinking about hiring a marketing agency, there's a few key things. Number 1 is social proof. And it's not just, screenshots and pictures, because a lot of agencies will make up social proof. I'm in the industry every day, and I know a lot of these agency owners, and I listen to what they're doing. I'm like, it blows my mind, because they Photoshop social proof and things like that. If you're thinking about hiring an agency, ask them to speak to 3 clients, at least 3, that they've worked with in the past. And on top of that, they should have video testimonials. If they don't have video testimonials themselves and they're not leveraging that, I don't think they're on the cutting edge, because video testimonials is huge. It's working for all of our clients and all our campaigns right now. Number 2, if you guys want to work with an agency, number 2, I would speak to at least 5 different agencies in your industry and make sure that they are a niche down agency. You don't want an agency where they have 5 to 10 different niches and they're all over the place. They're the jack of all trades, but master at none. You want to work with an agency that only works with one industry. For example, we only work with e-commerce brands. Now, I do own a second agency, but they're not mixed together. And that second agency works with fitness professionals and personal trainers and gym owners, but they're totally separate agencies, totally separate leadership teams, totally separate employees and structures and everything like that. So make sure the agency that you hire has one niche, one industry that they help. And those are the 2 biggest things. If you can make sure that you're talking to at least 3 of their clients from the past and they have testimonial videos, and one other thing that I want to throw in there as a bonus for all the chargers out there, see if they're running ads themselves. See if they're doing retargeting. My agency spends more money on ads than a lot of other agencies manage for their entire client roster in a single month for our own company. So we practice what we preach, right? So what I would recommend is go on their website and see if you start getting retargeting ads. If you don't, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Go on my site or another agency that's running ads, you're going to see a ton of different retargeting from YouTube to Facebook, they're just going to carpet bomb you, is what I like to say, on the internet, and you're not going to be able to escape them. So that's what you kind of want to look out for, okay? Because that's how you're going to separate the experienced agency owners and the experienced agency teams from the novice out there, because it's an easy barrier to entry. And that's why it was such a great question, Gary. So for all the chargers out there listening, you have to understand that I was 16 when I started my agency. I'm 18 now, but it was such an easy barrier to entry to get started. Luckily, I was able to really gather a lot of knowledge, and I really understand it. But a lot of other people, they get started and they really don't know what they're doing.
So that becomes a real key, is how can you really take a look at it? I think you've shared some really practical steps of, number one, what they need to be doing themselves if they're looking at doing it themselves. But if they don't want to do it, and a lot of people in social media don't, is how can I get an agency that really fits me and fits my organization and fits my team? I think that becomes the real key. And as you talked about, you help eComm businesses, really how they can implement and move forward. And I think that's one thing I'd like to really talk about, because of course I'm in that area of the e-commerce side. So I'm interested for myself, but I think that's a market that even if you're a small business and you're doing a little bit of internet business now, we have to realize the world is so much smaller. And as you and I talked offline before we got started, I've got a book that's launching. Well, that book's doesn't have to be just here in my area. We have capabilities to be able to send that resource and have that outside of the area. So when we look at e-com business owners, what is a takeaway now, and what's something that they could easily implement that really could help them in that type of business? And I'll be taking notes for myself too.
So for all you chargers out there that are in the e-com game, retargeting, it's your lowest hanging fruit. So as long as you have that, like I said, tracking your data, and you have that pixel set up on your site, you can retarget all the people that didn't purchase and send them a simple ad. That's going to get you the highest ROI that I've ever seen, or a highest return on ad spend. That's the best advice I have for an e-commerce brand. And I think it will allow them to really skyrocket, because once you start doing retargeting, you're going to want to start doing other campaigns. And then you're just going to be able to scale significantly.
Yeah, and that becomes the real key, is you're retargeting people that's already interested. They're seeing you again. Of course, you're putting yourself top of mind awareness that you talked about becomes so huge for them to really move forward.
And Gary, with Q4 coming up, this is going to be the biggest Q4 for anyone in the e-commerce or online business game. The retail stores like Lowe's and Target, they already, not Lowe's, but Target and all these other places, they are not going to be open in their physical locations during Black Friday. They've already pledged that. There is going to be a ton of traffic on Cyber Monday, on Black Friday, throughout Q4. And it's going to really allow e-commerce brands to really scale. We've seen it through Q4. E-commerce is the future. So there's a lot of opportunity here.
Well, Jared, some great information that you're sharing. And, I'm sitting here and I'm just amazed because, as you very openly said, you're 18 years old, but you've got a wealth of knowledge and you're in an industry that is ever evolving and changing. So I guess one of the things I'd like to do, because I know there's somebody in that audience that's listening today, and I'll probably have my children listen to it, because one of them's 21 and the other one's 20 and the other one's 18. So I want them to hear this message too. But what would you tell someone when they say, yeah, I'd like to be an entrepreneur, but, and that but always gets in the way? How would you respond to them to tell them, move forward?
And this is something for all you chargers out there. You only live once, and I've learned that life is short. You only have one chance, and are you really going to let some fear really stop you from doing what you want to do, from accomplishing your dreams? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I have to ask you, how bad do you really want it? Because if you really want it, you're going to go for it and forget about everything else. Go all in. What's the worst that can happen? You only live once. Go all in.
Well, great advice, Jarrett. Great advice. And I'm telling you, I'm going to be following you, because you're going to be doing great things. I know Scope Marketing is the start. And as you said, you got 2 different agencies, but it's going to be interesting to watch you and follow you as you progress and you change the world. And right now you're doing it in your agency of helping businesses and organizations really improve their marketing efforts, which increases their ROIs and allows them to improve in those areas. But I know there's great things from you that's going to continue to go forward. So I appreciate you sharing with us today. Why don't you share with them now if they wanted to check out Scope Marketing or yourself, how would they reach out to you?
Of course. So, for all you chargers listening, number one is I'm just a normal person. So, I want you guys to reach out on Facebook and connect with me on there. Just shoot me a message. Jared Curry, should be pretty easy to find me. My banner is going to have the eComm stuff and Blackhawk system. Just reach out, send me a message with any questions that you may have. And then if you want, you can visit our site at www.scope16.com. But of course, reach out to me on Facebook. I'd love to connect with you one-on-one.
Great. Please do that. We'll have it also in show notes at chargepodcast.com. So if you're driving or riding or exercising right now and can't write that down, we'll have all that in show notes. Jared, before I let you go, I ask every guest what I call a recharge round. I ask them 6 questions. So we're going to try to take you through the gauntlet here and see what your responses are these for each one of the questions. Let's start out with, share with us how you believe your mindset affects your daily living.
So mindset is everything. And, it's like this week, I had a really tough week and I wanted to stop selling but if I stop selling, I stop impacting so many different lives. So if your mindset isn't right, you have to I have a mindset coach and he helps me every day trying to improve my mindset. If your mindset's not right, your entire business is going to just fall, because most people don't have business problems. They have individual problems that reflect on their business. So you have to get that mind right.
Yep. And it becomes that choice that's there. How about, what do you do daily to bring energy into your life?
Number one, I make sure I have a strong, solid morning routine, from cold showering to meditation to working out to eating right and drinking a lot of water. Something I just learned. And that's making sure that, and I'm still a young guy, so I'm a little lucky, but that's just making sure I don't get overwhelmed and I can, kind of clear my mind and make sure that I'm building a strong foundation to allow myself to propel throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah. One of those morning routines, I'm telling you, Jared, I get that from my guest. I've done about 140 of the podcast shows now, and it's the number one response that really makes the biggest difference to them, of having that morning routine. And you can start that at any time. Instead of just getting up and you're waking up to the alarm, instead, let yourself guide that first hour to hour and a half, even if it's 30 minutes, whatever it is for you, that you're guiding that versus someone else. What's the number one connection or relationship that's made the biggest impact on your life, Jared? Up to this point, we'll say.
Up to this point, exactly. So my dad, from a really young age, he owns a business himself. And since the age of 4, I've always been working. And he always told me, son, never say the word never. Never say the word quit, things like that. He always told me to keep going. Persistence beats resistance. At an early age, I had a speech impediment. And now my job is to speak. I wasn't able to talk in the past, and now I know I just need to keep going, and persistence beats resistance. And as long as you don't give up, which is something that he's always instilled in me, it's allowed me to, keep going, allow me to achieve what I've achieved so far.
Well, you got a great dad there. He's given you some great advice. So he's made the biggest impact. How about the biggest advice or best advice that you've had that's influenced your life up to this point?
And I have to say, like I said, and before I start the agency, I had just finished the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, who's my favorite author of all time. Or I guess I could say second favorite author. I have to give it to you, Gary.
Thanks, Jared.
But he said the rich don't work for money. And that's always been left in my mind. The rich don't work for money. Have money work for you. And I didn't mention this at all yet, but I started a vending machine right after I started that book to allow some passive income coming in, and that's how I've kind of automated my entire business. So it just makes money while I get to speak with lovely people like yourself.
Yeah, great advice and great feedback. And that is a book, folks, no matter what age. Jarrett read it at a very young age, but even if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter what age you are, that is a book you ought to pick up and read. It influenced my life early on too, about passive income. And that's how I got into some of the things that I got into, because you want your money to work for you. So great advice there. How about define in one sentence or less, what legacy do you want to leave the world?
It's a great question. I want people to remember me as someone, number one, who never gave up. And I want that to be instilled in kids throughout the entire world. My mission and my goal is to build schools in underdeveloped countries to teach about finances and to teach about financial literacy and business and things that our modern day school system just lacks, to be honest with you. And I believe that if we teach the youth, a lot of problems will be fixed on this planet. So I want to be known, and I want to leave the legacy as the person who fixed and kind of helped the education system, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, Jarrett, what a great thing that you're going to do. And I can see as you go forward, you're going to impact the world in so many different ways. And the biggest is because you've got a mindset of never give up. And that sets the stage for everything that you want to do. And I can't wait to see you when you start building those schools and you build those programs in other countries, as well as our own country, of really getting the message out that we have it within ourselves. And that's the key. And especially if you're in the United States, we're so benefited of what we have in our society, we forget about it, where other countries don't have some of those same benefits that we have. So what are those differences that you can make? And Chargers, I hope this has inspired you today to decide to take action, to not give up, to move forward and decide what do you want that to be. We heard the story of Jarrett. Let that story now be written for your life and decide what you want to write each and every day. Jarrett, share with them again how they can reach out to you and connect with you.
Of course. So number one, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. I'm just a normal person. Send me a message. Ask me any questions you may have. I don't care if you're not in e-commerce. I don't care if you already have an agency. I'd love to help you out. Jared Curry. You could just look me up on Facebook and add me as a friend and send me a message, or you can visit our site at www.scope16.com, and you could also connect with us there. But I'd love to speak with you on Facebook and connect and add you as a friend.
Jarrett, I'm glad to be able to call you a friend now, and I'm so glad you said yes to the Charge podcast. I know the Charger is going to be excited about this, and I can't wait to share that message out to the world. And congratulations to you for saying yes and really taking the opportunity that you've had. And like I said, I can guarantee you, I'm going to be following you, Jarrett. I'm going to be on that Facebook page and so I can follow what you're doing and keep up the great work. And let's stay in touch, my friend.
Of course. Thank you so much, Gary, for having me on. It was a pleasure. And thank you to all the Chargers listening. Let's charge your life. Let's do this.
Let's go, Chargers. I tell you what, if you're not charged up now, no matter where you're at in your seat, you can change that seat. Just decide to take action. One thing that Jarrett shared with us today is never give up. And if you do that, you're going to move forward in life. And that becomes the key, because it's about creating a positive culture in business and life. And remember, Charge is all about create habits around real goals every day. That's how you create success. Jarrett took from reading the book, from watching a webinar, and deciding to take action. And that is his story that he shared with us today. So Chargers, I look forward to you coming back next week. We'll have another great podcast guest for you. And remember, go out each and every day and make it a great day. Thanks, Chargers. Here is a short description of the book. Lloyd, a truck driver from Forward Trucking Inc., has a random encounter with death while making his way back home. Lloyd, who is short on faith and options, finds himself in the largest downward spiral of his life. He meets an unexpected traveler who sees something in him that Lloyd couldn't find on his own. Together, through a new sense of faith and reason, Lloyd discovers his life's calling. I'm so excited to launch this book with you, and I appreciate your help. To get your copy, go to cultivatepositiveculture.com. Thanks for supporting the book.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.